Da pacem Domine in diebus nostris.
Document W-9599 entered into Monarch's archives as of January 8, 1974. Dr. Ronald Klaus, January 1, 1955, Cleveland, Ohio. New Year's Day, 1954, 1955. The year's over, but one thing I guarantee is not over is what I saw on that sunny day in November. It was my account of Operation Lucky Dragon. I arrived on the U.S.S. Aphrodite at dawn, and most of the time I spent on that ship was on the deck. I was waiting, as it took the Monarch crew hours to assemble everything. I enjoyed the peaceful and calm sunrise over the vast ocean and luscious atoll, so much to the point that I didn't mind the fact I would be seeing that thing again before the sun would set. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I only wanted to attend in order to make sure all my time spent observing and studying that stupid creature was put to good use. I wanted to see that thing die. In about a few hours, around 1:25 p.m., we were seated. The ship slowly turned to the left, so we could see what no average Joe would be able to see for his entire life. At first, we could only see a small strip of land jutting out from a larger island. Then we were able to make out the huge stand. Then the helicopters came, and the small brownish hunk of metal was lowered to the stand. That was the bomb. We then saw 4 men climb up and activate it. They got out of there like a bat out of hell in no time. The boat they were on made it to our ship in no time. The copter simply vanished into the distance. By that time, we finally noticed the abandoned submarines that would attract Gojira. We expected him to show up about an hour later. Though in just 15 minutes after the army crew arrived at the Aphrodite, we were told that a large body of mass was starting to enter the radius. We were told to put on the goggles, and needless to say, we did as we were told. I kept my eyes peeled for the back scales. I scoured the blue waters for the head, tail, anything, but for 10 long minutes I saw nothing. I presumed that once the creature was near the bomb underwater, it would detonate. Then I was greeted with only half a second of the most incredible thing I have ever seen. I saw Gojira from the chest up rise from the ocean as if it was going to jump right onto the bomb. It was so short, yet I could make out everything in those given milliseconds. Its head, small eyes, those long rugged scales across its back, even part of its back and arms. It was simply the most amazing thing I had ever seen in my life. Then everything went white. The bomb was not nearly as incredible as the monster, but it was still a hell of a sight as it was rising from the surface. The mushroom cloud lingered in the clear blue sky for hours, and even though we were at a safe distance, I could still feel part of the shockwave as all the surrounding land around was flooded with massive waves. When everybody got up the next morning, it seems as if the cloud was gone, but it was as if the image of the bomb could still be seen for how much it was burned into our memories. It was so intimidating, massive, and terrifying. I thought for a second it did kill Gojira, no questions asked. I don't even know the goggles did anything when it blew up. We were evacuated the next morning, as everybody started to calm down after what they saw yesterday. That day is going to be with me until the day I'm on my deathbed. While no traces of the creature have been seen for 2 months, I want to say that this is not over. Most of my mind says that thing is still not dead, and should it take thousands of years, it will reemerge. I just hope the generations of my children and grandchildren will come up with a better and more thorough plan, taking Gojira does and set ablaze the very ground they walk on. While I have no sympathy for the creature, I also want to point out that even if one monster was annihilated on that day, there was another that survived. This monster built that hydrogen bomb in the first place. This monster woke up the other from its grounds of slumber. This monster is still responsible for all the untold death and misery that the world suffers from to this day. This monster was sitting on the boat, watching that bomb. Document G83 entered into Monarch's archives as of April 16, 1965. Colonel Boris Manzini, April 14th, 1965, Shanghai, China. Dear Admiral Kenshin George, I am very happy to report that the specimen known as Godzilla has officially not been seen for over 10 years. Monarch, nor any powers that have worked with us on the projects have reported a single trace of the creature. In addition, there are no sightings, reports, unusual activities, unexplained events, nothing that proves that the specimen is still active. While sadly it is true that we have not discovered any remains of Godzilla, there is clearly no sign that the monster shall be appearing anytime soon. Over 10 years after its supposed conclusion, I hereby declare Operation Lucky Dragon as a success. I, and everybody else that is part of my team, would like to thank you dearly for all of your help on this operation. However, there is one last catch. Recently, it seems that Johnson's administration may prove to be useful in our relationship with the Soviets. It is said that a pact is being written, and this could help both of us take a breather after our constant need for nuclear warheads. It would obviously prove vital and extremely useful if an agreement such as this were to be reached. Though, it is said that part of the agreement involves the promise and the whole truth on behalf of the United States government that no nuclear bombs were detonated after May 30th, 1954. Seeing as how our branches do not want to take any risks spoiling such a huge possibility of reaching peace after all these years, we will conduct a revision of history. All Soviet members of Operation Lucky Dragon and the organization in general have sworn to secrecy. We shall revise the documentation of the operation we are required to show to the United Nations and change the date to the operation's commission and conclusion from November 3rd to March 1st, 1954. Hopefully, this information given will be enough for the UN to know what was needed to kill the creature while still being able to reach a deal with the USSR. Nonetheless, we are ever so grateful that this ordeal is finally over. In less than 20 years, we have fought through the bloodiest conflict in all of human history, survived through Cuba, and even removed a giant monster forgotten by time from the ocean depths. The government shall continue funding Monarch until we no longer see fit to track unidentified organisms. Document L5901 entered into Monarch's archives as of June 12, 1987. Dr. Ishiro Serizawa, June 9, 1987. Tokyo, Japan. Dear Secretary Ulysses Corneille, I am more than joyed and thrilled that you have accepted my application to the Monarch program. It took me a while for me to even pinpoint a location where I could even talk to a person from it. But after my years of research, I know that my future belongs with all of you, tracking and studying this creature named Gojira. As a side note, I can confirm the studies your scientists ran by me. We certainly know that creatures such as Gojira were ocean dwellers that adapted to life underground. They lived during a time when the Earth was far more radioactive, so they had to adapt to live deeper below the Earth's surface to survive. Though even with the survival of the mass extinction, I would still say that with all the events and documents recorded, Gojira is probably the last of his kind, but we still don't know for sure yet. Which reminds me, Captain Gordon Levitt of the undercover voyage of the USS Nautilus died just 2 weeks ago. His dying words were apparently about seeing the monster through some sort of monitor, as they started to get worried about their stay in the deepest and darkest depths of the ocean. He says that the readings and the radioactive recordings were unlike anything he had seen before. So, if it wasn't clear enough, yes, the descent of the USS Nautilus was indeed what woke up Gojira. On a side note, you and the others at Monarch may see Gojira as an animal that must be protected and contained, though I don't think that is the case. While I highly respect all of you and will be happy to collaborate, I believe Gojira stands for something more. You see, nature has an order, a need to restore balance, and I think that is what he is. Gojira is the Earth's guardian. to defend this planet from untold forces and menaces. I have no doubt that there will be more mutants out there, so I must advise against taking direct action against the monster if he reemerges. You simply cannot kill him, for he is the only one in this mad world who is willing to go up against anything. Gojira is not an accident that exists. He needs to exist. Dr. Ishiro Serizawa. Document A-994, entered into Monarch's archives as of March 17, 1991. Dr. Vivienne Graham, March 12, 1991, Odo Island. Dr. Serizawa, I have recently concluded the search, and I unfortunately have a document for you. It was taken from a recording of an audio tape when a native of the island was questioned about his afternoon on sea. I want to get everything done quickly, so for now, I am giving you the fast news you want. Please read this. It's from a teenage boy named Kaed Ikaru. No, I know what I saw. It was not a ship. It was not a mountain. It was not a pair of rocks. It was not an island. I was heading back to shore, and as I turned back, the sun was starting to set. Then, suddenly, across the orange and pink sky, behind the blinding light of the sun, I saw the black silhouette of a dinosaur rise from the ocean.